This is James Kushnerick here for Real Steel Sports, the second half of my Australian Open semifinal previews. When I previewed the Wawrinka-Berdych match just a few minutes ago, I'm really going into detail about each player and their side of their games, more or less, and what they do and what they don't do well. And that was only because of the fact that the people who are going to listen to this, my shows, mostly people in the States, maybe some people in foreign countries, they don't know those guys very well. I mean, Berdych has been in one slam final and lost. And Wawrinka, this is his second semifinal in a major. Been in the quarters numerous times. But those guys, I really kind of did have to break down their games. I don't have to do this for this match. When you've got Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer going head-to-head, you know what to expect from those two. I mean, it's been billed as the rivalry. In the modern era, even though sometimes it doesn't seem like a rivalry, considering Nadal will beat him quite a few times in a row, Federer will get him a couple times. But it's more or less just a thing where these two guys have played so often, they know each other's games. But when you watch them play, it sometimes seems like they never played each other before because you always see new wrinkles. Federer and Nadal weren't playing the same way against each other they were back in 2005 and 2006, 2007. It's 2014. You're getting these guys doing different things than what they used to. You got Nadal over the last few years has improved the depth of his shots on hard court and his serve. And you got Federer, who's trying to move in more and be more aggressive. These guys weren't doing that in 2007, 2008. Back then, they were just Nadal playing defense and Federer playing offense, and that was about it. What makes this matchup so much fun to watch is because you've got two polar opposites. You've got silk versus sandpaper, pretty much. You've got who I put pegged as the greatest tennis player of all time in Roger Federer, going up against the guy who's one of the greatest, absolutely, and someone completely different. I mean, Federer, his game is so fluid, it flows, it's so smooth, it's effortless, and you got Nadal. It's like jazz versus heavy metal, pretty much. Nadal's game is so like hardcore because he stomps around the court. He's got the big biceps, hits the ball with so much torque and action on it. It's almost like it's like Beethoven versus Ozzy Osbourne in a way, I guess that's a good way to put it. But these guys are just so fun to watch go head to head because you honestly sometimes never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I mean, Federer's beating him on clay, Nadal's beating him on grass. Who'd ever thought that when they started playing against each other? But this match is, in my opinion, pivotal for Federer. Because this is his last great chance to win a Grand Slam. Because if he wins this match, his opponent in the final is Wawrinka. And no offense to Wawrinka, but if he plays Federer, I think Federer will beat him. If he plays Nadal, I think Nadal will beat him. But that being said, Federer, 99% of the times, the rest of his career, and he's in a semifinal of a major, and the other match has been decided, it's going to be Djokovic, Murray, Del Potro. Not going to be Wawrinka. I mean, and for Nadal, he's trying to become the first man to win every single Grand Slam at least twice. No man's ever done that. Well, Laver has, but I'm talking open era. This match, in my opinion, actually, I think Federer has a slight advantage. And I think it's the fact that Nadal's blister is just huge. Did you see it I wonder if did anyone here see it whenever he was in one of his interviews? It's like half as big as his palm. It's like huge and it's all red. It doesn't bother him on his forehand or backhand, but you can tell on his serve. He was hitting serves in the 80s against Dimitrov. And what does that tell you? It tells you that he's having trouble hitting that shot with that blister. And the times that Federer has had the best success against Nadal, it's when Nadal has been serving in the mid-range of his terms of his MPHs, and Federer has just stepped on the gas. Let's put it this way: if Nadal's serve is lacking any kind of pace against Federer, Federer will eat it up. He has a habit of doing that. But the thing about Federer, and it's been the case the last 5-6 years, he's not been able to convert break points. He needs to convert break points. If you look at all the big matches he's lost to Nadal, let's put it this way: if Federer converted half of the break points he ever faced, or he ever got, playing against Nadal in their rivalry, you could probably cut Nadal's Grand Slam total in half. And his final total in half, and his Master Shield total probably about a third. Like if you go through their rivalry, starting from the very beginning, actually we're just going to go to the recent ones. Like, you know, the 2008 Wimbledon final, the 2009 Australian Open final, he wasn't doing that. The 2012 Australian Open semi, those matches were matches where Federer had break points and he just didn't convert. And it was one of those things where when he did convert, you know, he wasn't consolidating well. So it's got to do both. He's got to serve well, and he's got to return well. For Nadal, the key is to just do what he's always done against Federer. Torquing high ball to his backhand, short ball, pummel it to his forehand. That strategy has worked against Federer since the dawn of time for lefties. And if Federer is going to have success in this match, if he's going to be, you know, if he wants to be in another Grand Slam final, when Nadal hits a serve that isn't very big and doesn't have much action on it, and he can step in and hit it, he better be stepping in and hitting it. He better not be doing any of this block it back crap, because Dimitrov was able to do something against Nadal that I'd never seen, and that was hit the slice to Nadal's backhand. Anytime Federer hits a slice against Nadal, it's almost always going to be returned with a forehand, because Nadal knows it's coming, he steps around and hits it, almost clean win every time. Point over. For my money, these two players are the two best players of their era. No doubt about it. And, you know, whenever these two guys play, you really don't know what to expect. I mean, there's not much I can break down here in terms of who serves better, who's forehand better, because we know what these guys can do. We've seen them play each other for 8, 9, 10 years now. We know what they've been doing against each other. Their first meeting was 2004. I was still in elementary school when these guys started playing against each other. I'm in college now. They've been playing forever. And they're linked to each other because of all their meetings. And this, I think, is going to be another classic. But this tournament, Federer coming to net, Federer being a little more aggressive on the return. The fact that I think the bigger racket frame is limiting his mishits. He's not shanking as much as he was. Like, he hardly shanked anything against Murray or against Tsonga. And those guys are guys that he's historically had shank fests against. Nadal, this will be the biggest test of him with Stefan Edberg. And I think Stefan Edberg is the reason why Federer gets through this match. So, I know it's shorter than my previous segment, but I'm picking Federer to beat Nadal in this match. And I have one reason why. Aggression. The fact that Nadal's serve has been clearly bothered by the blisters. The fact that he's not going to get as much action or as much depth on his second serve as he'd like. And the fact that Federer is returning aggressively, consistently, and he's coming to net well and he's serving well. If he's hitting that one in the deuce court that's taking Nadal off the court and going behind him, or even going right up the line, it's going to be really tough for Nadal to defend that. I've always felt that it's just weird because Federer has played some of the biggest servers in men's history. Ivo Karlovic, Andy Roddick, John Isner, Milos Raonic, Pete Sampras. He's even played Goran Ivanisevic a few times. Some of the biggest and best servers in the history of the game. And whenever they went against him, their ace totals dropped, and Federer was able to break them like it was nothing. And then he plays Nadal, a guy who's got literally no big serve to speak of, and all of a sudden he can't convert any break points. I don't get that. This statement, I think, will be foretelling for this match. It's Federer's ability to be aggressive on the second serve. If Federer does not win more than 60% of Nadal's second serve points, he will not win this match, because that means that Nadal's having a 50-50 chance of winning a point on the second serve and a 75% chance more likely on the first serve because of the fact that, he's going to get set up to hit his forehand. Nadal's always been good at winning second serve points, and I think Federer's going to put an end to that, because if Nadal is hitting some serves in the 90s and in the high 80s against Dimitrov, I mean, the match against Dimitrov, Nadal was averaging 140 kilometers an hour for his second serve. That's 87 miles an hour. If Nadal is not getting his average second serve speed at least in the 90s for this match, Federer will chew it up, because we know Murray and we know Tsonga hit much bigger second serves. Federer did everything, was able to just do everything he could with those two servers. He was able to hit all kind of good shots and all kind of good returns. He drove them nuts. He was able to hit big returns off both wings. If Federer can return Nadal's second serve effectively, he'll win this match. He's got to. And I see it as such. I predicted that Roger Federer will overcome his bad head-to-head record against Nadal, beat him in 4 sets, and advance to the men's final. I say 4 because I think Nadal is definitely going to win one, but again, Dimitrov really pushed him. Kei Nishikori gave him a hell of a match. People forget, Nishikori had chances in both the first and the third set. That easily could have been a 2-1 deficit for Nadal. And this is the one Grand Slam where I think Nadal is vulnerable, other than Wimbledon, because the court surface is slow, and you would think that would favor him, and it really doesn't, because on the clay at the French Open, that's the slowest service in the world, and that's only because of the fact that Nadal moves so well, and the fact that he's his top spin, his slice, and his movement, yada yada, you get the whole picture. And on grass, you figure with, the ball stays, the ball's playing more like a hard court now on a clay court. The players have said that's a different story. The US Open is actually had good success at winning 2 titles there because it's faster. And the reason why is it makes his serve seem bigger. It's the same thing when Leighton Hewitt used to play on grass. He didn't have a big serve either, but when it was on grass, the way the ball moved when it hit the court made his serve seem bigger. And it's the same principle for Rafa Nadal. Again, Nadal's going to need to win a lot of points on his second serve because Federer's going to be going after it. And Federer's going to be motivated for this match. I mean, he always is playing Rafa, but the fact now that he's older, he's going to be, 33 this year? He doesn't have any chances left. This will be one of his last best chances to get to a Grand Slam final and not have to face one of the other big 4. Djokovic,